Before I begin, if you have any suggestions for different characters that I can turn into dragons or turn into different genres, make sure to leave them in the comment section. With that said, let's get into the video. The first thing I wanted to do was I just wanted to draw almost like just a bear, a rough bear, proportions and positionings, because when I think of what animal Wolverine is very much like, I think of a bear. Even though he's called Wolverine, I do try and work in some Wolverine things, but the main two animals that I used were Wolverine and not Wolverine, sorry, a bear and a Komodo dragon. So here I'm just drawing in a bear shape. I do mess up the back legs slightly, so I just try and I'll fix those later. Here I'm trying to make the face look a little more dragon-like instead of nothing. And that's when I decide that I wanted to add in Komodo dragon. I thought it would make it more reptilian, as obviously Komodo dragons are reptiles. To do that, I just lengthened the neck a little bit and shortened all of the legs and made them much bulkier. Because if you look at Komodo dragons, they have very short legs compared to mammals like bears. I also made the legs stick out sideways slightly instead of going straight down, and obviously added a tail as well. I then went on to trying to draw in some facial features. This is where I tried to put in more Wolverine sort of features. In terms of success, I think the face didn't really work that well. I guess it worked somewhat well, but I don't think it conveyed the emotion of anger and curiosity properly. I think I could have done better, but I'm not sure how. Here I just start actually adding in superhero Wolverine character design. So like you often see him with the spikes on his face, his spiked mask, and shoulder pad things, and I just thought those were quite easy to add into this design, and there they are. Line arts wise, I decided that I'd just go with a thicker pen, like all the way around. I thought this might add in sort of a more comic book style, but I feel like I could have gone even thicker for the outline, or outlined the entire outside in a thick line, a thick dark pen, and that would have made it more comic book-esque in style. Other than that, I was sort of adding detail like in the eyes and some wrinkles and veins in the neck, etc. And also the spines, I actually put the spines in properly. I was just trying to get really clean lines, or as clean as I could, on most of the forearms and the back. I was just trying to get really clean lines to try and get this sort of comic book style. Even though it's not fully drawn in the comic book style, I just tried to add in some features of the comic book. Then I rub out all the pencil lines and go on to colouring. For colouring I used markers, and these markers, what I wanted to do was just first create a completely flat coverage of colour, and then experiment with different sort of shading techniques. So first what I did was I just went in with the blue on the arms, because looking at lots of the Wolverine comic book illustrations of Wolverine, he's usually got sort of blue shoulders and arms and blue sort of accents with a mainly yellow body, with a couple of accents on the wrists and things like that of yellow. So first thing I wanted to do was just make the forelimbs blue and the back legs blue as well, and then then from there I was just going to add in yellow. Obviously I was colouring the big shoulder spikes and the sort of patterns on the yellow section of body in blue. And then I go in with a sort of orange to try and lay down sort of a beginning of a shadow, and then I go to a slightly lighter yellow, just trying to figure out what yellow I need. And then I go into the yellow that I use on the entire piece. It did turn out kind of orange, but I think that's just the markers I was using. There wasn't really the yellow sort of that I wanted, so I just had to settle for more of an orange. I don't think this detracted from the drawing in any way. I just don't think it was the completely correct colour that I should have used. Anyway, I just began blocking in the flat colour, adding the accents and the different highlight bits in yellow. Then I just quickly went in with a couple of details with my pen, but then went into shading. I started with the yellow because I thought they were more big. Most of the yellow was one big section. As you can see, I started off very cautious with my shading. I wasn't really sure how I was going to do the shading, and I didn't want to push it too far as to ruin the piece. But I think that actually doing lots of shading actually improved it, instead of it did the opposite of what I thought. I sort of just used the same marker for the sort of the less dark shadows, and eventually I just go in and I try to make the shadows even darker, and also making them larger, like to cover more of the body. I do this after I do the blue markers. So with the blue, I was just trying to accentuate the big muscular sort of roundness of the arms. Just trying to make sure that this sort of comic book muscular creature style is actually carried through the shading as well as everything else. As you can see here, I am going in with the much darker shading, and I decided that this would be a good idea, as lots of comic books just have almost just two shades of like light and dark. So I decided to try and emulate that sort of style with the eventual shading of this character. With all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this video of me turning Wolverine into a character or a dragon. Make sure, if you have any other suggestions, make sure to go and put them into the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do just subscribe, and also just leave a like. They really mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching.